So, in this session of Fundamentals of Practical Microbiology, we will be dealing with something called as the preparation of liquid bacterial medium or liquid microbial medium, growth medium. Okay, so for that, first of all, we will be discussing about the different broths that is available for culturing of different classes of bacteria, and these broths could be classified as what we saw in the first class, like differential media, selective media, and then general purpose media. So in that case, the images that I am showing, the video that I am showing here is completely with the different forms of growth media that can be used for both bacterial culture and fungal cultures. Okay, so we will go ahead with one by one, and I will also show you how the form of this medium broths will be like before preparing the medium, how this will look like, and what is its texture, everything we will see in detail. Okay, so today we are just going to see only about the liquid culture medium, not the solid culture medium. So what we are seeing today is just liquid culture medium, but I will be showing individually different broths. So whenever you go for liquid medium, you have to select something called as a broth. Okay, like nutrient broth, and then like LB broth, and then or something like potato dextrose broth, or lactose broth, or then lactobacillus MRS broth, and then something like yeast peptone dextrose broth. Okay, so this is very important, because there will be something called as LB agar, Luria bertani agar will be there, nutrient agar nu or bottle irukum, and then potato dextrose agar, lactose agar, something like that will also be there. But if agar is there, it means it is a solidifying medium. That means you are going to use it for solid, semi-solid mediums nama paathomla, that forms of medium if you have to use, you have to use that we will see in the tomorrow's session. Okay, today we are just going to explore about this liquid broths. So I will go ahead with one such an example, which is a nutrient broth. So this nutrient broth is as I have told you, in the forms of different types of mediums, this belongs to the general purpose medium. So general purpose medium, if you see the composition of this nutrient broth is very clearly given. It is peptone, sodium chloride, HM peptide B, and then yeast extract. So this is the very simple composition. So if you don't have something like in the mari or a complete nutrient broth illa appadinamna, you can also depend on individual of these components. உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், இப்போ நியூட்ரியன் பிராத்னா பெப்டோன் இருக்கணும், சோடியம் குளோரைட் இருக்கணும், ஹெச்எம் பெப்டோன் இருக்கணும், and then you require yeast extract அப்படின்னா you can select a medium. You can just take peptone separately, and then you can take something like your yeast extract. Number separate ஆகும், the components will be there available in laboratories. So it depends, உங்களுக்கு எல்லாமே ஒண்ணா இருக்கிற மாதிரி mediums கிடைச்சது, like something like nutrient brothனா you can easily depend. Okay, so this different forms that I am showing here, that is like nutrient broth, and then LB, and then potato dextrose or lactose broth, MRS broth, or this yeast extract broth, all these things are just for growth of microorganism. But how they differ appanamna completely based on this composition. If you see nutrient broth, it is a different composition, and if you see this LB broth, it has a different composition. It has, rather than peptone, it has tryptone, and then yeast extract, sodium chloride, right? So it's a different composition. Now let me go for potato dextrose. It has potatoes infusion form, and then dextrose will be there, correct? And then for lactose broth, if you see peptone, beef extract, and then lactose is there. And if you go for lactobacillus MRS broth, so this MRS broth has to be stored in refrigerator. Okay, so this will be in granulated form. It has to be stored. You can see the temperature range. So you have to check where I have to store this medium. If I have to store this medium in refrigerator, then you have to store this in refrigerator. But all the other mediums, if you see, you need not to store it in a refrigerated condition. If you see, it will just show it as 8 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. So the same thing, 8 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. And for nutrient broth, if you see, it is 10 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. So details will be given in such a way. Okay, so lactose will have different composition. This MRS broth will have a different composition. So it has protease peptone, HM peptone, yeast extract, dextrose, polysorbate, ammonium citrate. So this is a very selective medium. This lactobacillus MRS broth is a selective medium for lactobacillus form of cultures. Okay, then coming to the yeast peptone dextrose broth. So this is a broth very specifically been cultured for propagation of yeasts in molecular biology, microbiological procedures. So this is very specific for yeast culture. So the complete growth medium composition is different: yeast extract, dextrose and peptone. So this is how all these nutrient mediums or the nutrient broths actually differs. Either எங்கேயுமே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they would have not mentioned anything about the solidifying agent. Solidifying agent is something called as example of solidifying agents are like gelatin, agar, agarose, something like that are solidifying agent. இதோட எந்த compositionலயுமே there was nothing mentioned something like agar or agarose, something like that, right? So you can very easily understand that this is not a solidifying medium. If you prepare a medium with these things, it will be only in liquid form. For that you have just to add water. அப்போ இது எப்படி prepare பண்ணுறது, that is what we are going to see now. So before that you have to just understand how these mediums will look like. எப்படி இருக்கும், whether it will be in a liquid form or in a powder form or in a pellet forms, that you have to see. Correct? So it has to be opened in a dry condition. You should not open it in a moisture condition. Okay? So ஏன்னா அது கொஞ்சம் மாய்ஸ்சர் பட்டாலுமே it is like it is highly hygroscopic in nature. Okay? Just a minute. Yes, I have opened it. So if you see, it will be in powder forms. So it will be in powder form. I will just take some thing and then, so if you see, it is in a fine powder forms. So you have to take this, measure accordingly, and then you have to dissolve it in water. In the martha all mediums will be like this only, but you should take very high care that it should not get adala thanniyo edum patra kudadu. If you get adala water edach patrucha appanamna, it will easily get solidified. And the mari you can see each and every broths will be different. I'm not just going to open this because we are just going to do with nutrient broth today. Okay, in the martha all broths will be something like this. Whereas in the MRS broth, as I have told you, it is in granulated forms. So I will show you what is granulated forms. Just a minute. So the image that I am showing you here is a granulated form. So if you just go and take it and dissolve it in water, it will automatically, it will also get solubilized. So it will be in forms of granules. Konjam mannu mari it will be like. Okay. So this is this is something like some other forms of microbial liquid culture medium, growth medium. Okay. So இதை எப்படி சார் நான் weigh பண்ணணும், how much I have to take and how much I have to dissolve it in water, distilled water, everything is very important. And the complete procedures they would have given in the bottle itself. So if you see, suspend 13 grams, 13 grams of this particular nutrient broth in 100 ml purified or distilled water. So and then you can autoclave it. So இது வந்து 13 grams. So nutrient brothக்கு this is the composition. You have to take 13 grams of this. இந்த கொடுத்திருக்க பவுடர்லேருந்து 13 gram எடுத்தீங்கன்னா போதும். But if you are going to prepare it individually, so then you have to prepare according to this composition. Peptone 5 grams எடுக்கணும், sodium chloride 5 grams, and then HM peptide for 1.5 grams, yeast extract for 1.5 grams. So something like that you have to take, and then you have to add water. அப்போ நம்மளுக்கு அப்படி தனித்தனியாக எடுக்க வேண்டாம், because we are having a nutrient broth. So the same way if you go for LB broth, they would have given the directions. So add 25 gram powder to distilled water, bring the volume up to 1 liter and mix it gently and then autoclave it. The same way for potato dextrose broth, they would have given some directions. And then for your lactose broth, they have given some the procedure. And for lactobacillus MRS broth, selective broth, they have given suspend 55.15 grams in 1 liter. And then yeast peptone, YPD agar for yeast, if you see 50 grams. So for 100 ml, so this is all the units that I have given here is for 1000 ml. Appo based on your requirement, let me say I am going to prepare 100 ml of nutrient broth appanamna, then you have to take 1.3 grams. 1000 ml ku 13 grams na, then for 100 ml of medium you have to take 1.3 grams. Accordingly, if it is 600 ml na, you have to calculate it 1.3 into 6, something like that. Okay, then you have to measure this, and then you have to dissolve it in using distilled waters. So distilled water, we have distilled water here. So you have a distillation apparatus. Distilled water na it is devoid of any other minerals. only H2O. நம்ம டேப்பில் வரதெல்லாம் they are not distilled water. They are not completely pure water. It will have some minerals which is required for human life. So this is we have an instrument, distillation unit for preparing this distilled water. So with this distilled water, you have to prepare this medium. Okay, you have to weigh the required amount of medium, and then you have to prepare this accordingly. Okay.